Hello, everyone, and welcome to the course of world history. I am your host, Mr. Samuelson, and today we are going to be looking at competition among the Gunpowder empires. So our essential question here is, what was the result of the conflict between these empires? Let's start by talking about the Ottomans and their expansion. The Ottoman Empire expanded rapidly after their capture of Constantinople in 1453. Their expansion into Europe, however, was halted at the Siege of Vienna in 1529, which meant that they could not expand further northwest. So instead, they turned their attention east. And here they see the young Safavid Empire still getting its feet under them a little bit, and they see an opportunity here to expand into the wealthy areas of Mesopotamia and to potentially capture Baghdad, which will be its prize and its target for some time. Now, this leads into a series of wars. The first Ottoman-Safavid War was kicked off when this little territory of Bitlis, which was under Ottoman control, shifted its alliances to the Safavids and declared kind of their loyalty to that Persian dynasty. Now, the Ottomans will use this as their reason for war, but this territory is recaptured very quickly, and it then expands the war rapidly as the Ottomans seek to overwhelm the Safavids and capture Baghdad and indeed all of Mesopotamia, this area right in here. The Ottomans are very successful in this. They're a more established, wealthier empire, and they're able to capture that territory. They did fail, however, to capture the Safavid ruler and to defeat the Safavid Empire as a whole. So the Safavid Empire will continue to exist, even though the Ottomans have won this war so handily. Now, they do fight more wars. There are a total of 3 major ones, so there are 2 more prolonged wars. The second one occurs when the Ottomans are taking advantage of disunity within the Safavid Empire. And they use that opportunity to push toward the Caspian Sea and to capture some territories near actually the Safavid homeland where their dynasty had originated, and to take those lands from them. The final of the 3 major wars was when the Safavids sought to counterattack, kind of fight back against the Ottomans and recapture Baghdad. But this is an overwhelming failure. It's a decisive defeat for the Safavid Empire, which solidifies the control of the Ottomans over Mesopotamia and Baghdad. So 3 major Ottoman-Safavid wars, 3 victories for the Ottoman Empire. Now let's look further east. The Mughal Emperor, which is predominantly a Indian empire, was created by Babur. Babur was a descendant of both Timur of the Timurid Empire and of Genghis Khan, and his goal was to conquer India. Now, Babur himself controlled only this small area around what is modern-day Afghanistan, centered around the city of Kabul, in the area of Kandahar. But his goal is to push south into India itself. Now, his empire, however, is unstable and prone to revolt. And in fact, one of those revolts is fairly successful, and Humayun, the son of Babur, is actually sent into exile for a little while in the Safavid Empire as he's lost control. But the Safavids will back Humayun and help him to reestablish a Mughal empire in exchange for controlling actually his homeland. This becomes Safavid territory. This will be a successful expansion. The Mughals take hold in India, they grow in power, and that's actually going to lead to future conflict. The future conflict comes 70 years later, when they go to war, 1622, over kind of control of modern Afghanistan, Kandahar. The Safavids see weakness in the Mughal emperor, and will seek to solidify their control, will capture Kandahar back. Kandahar kind of drifts back and forth between the Mughals and Safavids a number of times. So over the 70 years it had drifted back to Mughals, Safavids want to fully establish their control over this territory and fight a short war to do so. They are successful. They gain Kandahar until 1638, when Kandahar is drifted back into the Mughal territory. Again, this is the Mughal homeland. This is territory that is sacred to them. The people identify more with the Mughals and the Safavids. But another war breaks out. 1649 to 1653, the Safavids once again seek to control Kandahar, and they win this war. And they take that territory back from the Mughals again. The Safavid, again, this time it's going to wind up being Persian, will fight another war, 1739, against the Mughals. And in this time, they will invade India itself and try to take substantial territories from the Mughals within India. But by now, it's not the Safavid dynasty. The Safavid dynasty has been replaced by the Safavid dynasty. We're getting later into Persian history here. So it is another conflict between those two groups. We're just not talking about the Safavids anymore. So we have all this conflict running through the Ottoman and Safavids, and then the Safavids and Mughals. And this area, if you recall from previous lessons, is key to Silk Road trade. These conflicts are going to be very disruptive to that east-west land-based trade from China to Europe. And every time a major war breaks up, it becomes more and more difficult to get goods through, and people can't get access through land-based trade. So increasingly, the Europeans are able to take advantage of this. The Chinese have burnt their navy, burnt their trade fleet, disinterested in water-based trade, and the Europeans are the opposite. They're expanding their navies, expanding water-based trade. So they are sailing around in control of the Indian Ocean. They're able to make this trade happen in a much safer, stable, more prosperous way by avoiding all this land-based conflict. The reduction of land-based trade then negatively impacts the wealth of all three gunpowder empires. They all start to decline in strength, particularly in relative strength to the British, who have established their dominance in the Indian Ocean trade network by this time. This will shift over time to the British actually seeking land-based empire in South Asia as well. And by 1858, the British have succeeded in tossing Mughals out of India. They are no longer in control. And the British Empire now has a land-based control of India. The Indian Raj period has begun. This is something we'll circle back to in another lesson, but was definitely a major event of this time period, bringing down one of the gunpowder empires. I hope that you learned something today, and I do hope to see you again next time. Farewell.